backyard ultra idea is simple. Complete a 4.167 mile loop on the hour every hour until there's only one person left standing. And that person, on completing their final loop, is crowned the winner. Everyone else is a DNF or did not finish. So lining up for the race briefing for this one at 6 PM on a Friday evening, we weren't sure how long the Longbridge 100 backyard ultra would last, but we were certainly intrigued to find out. So we set off into the night under a full moon. Each loop would consist of 623 feet of climbing, and it was described as a double dogleg, so 2 up and backs. And on the second up and back we'd collect a token that we'd hand into the finish, so the people there would know that we'd completed that particular lap. One down. Right, so that's lap 1 in about 48 minutes. So it gives me a bit of time to get some things from the barn. So yeah, lap 1 ticked off. The thing you quickly realise with a backyard ultra is that there's a lot of deja vu involved. You're running the same route every hour, you're setting off from the same start point and coming back to the same finish point every hour too, largely with the same group of people. So it all feels quite surreal, really. Yeah, good. Cheers. So this is the barn in here where everyone's got their stuff, so food, chairs to sit down on. So yeah, just on lap 2 in about 49-50 minutes. So going to quickly pick up some things here. So the first thing that I learned from this backyard ultra is that it's really important to remember the motto, beware of the chair. And it's a phrase I've heard used to warn people about the dangers of sitting down when it comes to ultras generally, not just backyards, but I think it's even more important to consider it and have it in the back of your mind for a backyard, because of course you're coming back to the chair, the possibility of sitting down at the end of each loop. So every hour there is that chair. And I did sit down at the end of most laps, but I did notice that where I'd sat down for longer and then tried to get going again, it could take, you know, a good up to maybe 10-15 minutes to really get the legs flowing again. So I think that's something I'd be very mindful of if I did another backyard, not to sit down in chairs too long. So I've talked about this on the channel before, the fact that ultra running is often good admin. It's just taking care of your body, responding to what it needs, adjusting where necessary. And one of the lessons that I learned on this backyard ultra was that you've got to remember that that is as true of backyard ultras as it is of set distance ultras. And I think I probably took my eye off the ball with admin slightly because yeah, it's not a set distance. So I didn't really feel nervous about going into this backyard because I didn't know I was going to run 50 miles or 100k or 100 miles, whatever it was. There was no set distance in my mind. And I did some good admin, so in terms of taping up my feet, using anti-chafe on them, taping up my nipples, I always do that to ensure they're not going to chafe either. But crucially, there was something I didn't use anti-chafe on, and that was my backside, and I paid for it. So actually at the end, the thing that hurt the most when I stopped, when I lapped out, was chafing. And it overrid any other muscle ache or pain that I had. I did realise about 5 or 6 laps in that I hadn't done that, and then I used anti-chafe, but it was a little too late at that point. So yeah, that is something I would think about in the future, that backyard ultra running is as much good admin. You've got to be really on it with all of those things that you do for regular distance or set distance ultras too. Right, so I haven't been filming too much through the night because there wasn't really that much to see, but we ran for the best part of 13 hours in the dark. We are currently 13 hours 28 in, so this is my 14th yard, 57 miles, but thankfully we are now getting the light turning on, which is pretty amazing after being in the dark for that long. Having said that, the conditions in the night were actually probably the best we could have hoped for. We had a really bright moon up above us that was lighting the way along with our head torches, and no rain whatsoever. Lowest temperature was about 1 degree, so it was a bit chilly at some points, but generally, you know, really nice running conditions. I had a couple of low points, so I'd say probably laps 6 and 7. My lower back was giving me some problems, but I stretched it out and that seemed to help. Stomach not necessarily playing ball here and there, a bit of chafing. So yeah, I've had a number of issues, but because you always come back to the barn at the end, actually it's quite quick to sort things out, you know, pick up a different bit of nutrition or pick up some water or ginger to settle the stomach. So yeah, it's been generally quite easy to remedy the issues that I've had. But yeah, really pleased with how this has gone. So it's just been, yeah, very different. You know, actually one of the things I realized was, you know, I've never done an ultra after a day of work. So this started 6 p.m. Friday evening, so I came straight from work and I thought I was going to be completely knackered, and yeah, I'm quite tired now. You know, it's the morning, it's probably about 7, is it 8 p.m. maybe, I'm not sure, but it's, yeah, not been as bad as I thought. You know, I've used caffeine, some Coke, some ginger sweets during the night, and that has definitely helped. And out of the 32 that started, there's about 12 of us left now. So yeah, still going at the moment. Hills have been tricky. There have been some pretty serious hills. You probably can't see it on the camera, but yeah, some of the hills that we've had, I think it's about 600 and something feet per loop. So yeah, that has been a challenge. Haven't done too much hill training recently. In fact, that's probably how I could have better prepared for this. Right, yard number 14, got to pick up our token. There it is. Always want to be careful, pick up the right one. So yeah, we hand this back in, back down that way at the start. God, it does make a difference having some light. It really does. Lifts your energy. There we can see the downs off in the distance. So the third takeaway is that light can make a real difference to your energy levels whilst running. You know, we've been going through a long winter's night. The nights are quite long at the moment, the days are quite short. And when those lights finally came up and surrounded us, that was pretty amazing. There was this kind of red hue that was covering everything. You could see the downs, the hills out in the distance. And yeah, it just gave a real sense of energy, and it was almost like a switch. You know, we've been going through the night, it was getting quite difficult towards the later parts of the night and into the early morning, but then when the light came up, it just, you know, almost switched your mind and made you think, okay, it's daytime now, I'm awake, and I'm meant to be moving. So yeah, that was a pretty special moment. And I said this on a social media post actually on Instagram that I did, but you know, my day job is as a philosophy and religious studies teacher, and people are sometimes surprised to know that I don't consider myself spiritual or religious, but there are certain moments in ultra marathons where I probably get closest, and this was certainly one of them. this is actually the run down into the finish. It's quite a sharp downhill, but you know, no uphills to contend with, which is good. So this is actually the first time we've properly seen it today. You know, what with it being dark for most of the time we've been out. Cheers, thanks.
Well done, Ben. Smashing it, mate.
Cheers,
well
Aaron.
You okay?
Thanks so much. Yeah,
good.
we're good, thanks. Yeah, all good.
Keep going, aren't you?
But you really look forward to the time, don't you? Thinking it's going to be such a big change. Seeing how it's still fucking
Right, last token for lap 15, here we go. Yard 15, there it is. Last token for today. Run with joy. I think I've done that for most of today. It's not always been joyous, but a lot of it has. And that's the important thing. Enjoyed a lot of it. Look at this. Right, last time going over that finish line. This is yard 15. Last time. Thank you.
well done.
Cheers. Phew. Here we go. Last yard. So this was where I clocked out for the Backyard Ultra, just over 100k in total. Could I have gone on? Yes. Would it have been wise to? Probably not, given I haven't done a huge amount of miles or elevation recently. So I was glad I was sensible and ended up with just over 100k for my run. So you might be wondering how long the Backyard actually went on for. Well, after I clocked out at lap 15, 6 runners lined up for lap 16. And the longest distance ran was 104 miles, so 25 laps in total. That was Dan Lawson, closely followed by John Gunnell, who ran 24 hours and did 100 miles, which I heard was his first 100 miler. His previous longest distance had been 50k, so amazing performance from him. Victoria Owens was first woman and in third place overall, so she did 19 laps, total of 79 miles. And then my fellow Sussex trail runner Cassia, amazing performance. She'd be ill all week, but then came and did 18 laps and finished at 75 miles in total. So that was the Longbridge 100 Backyard Ultra, and just wanted to say a massive thank you to Darren and the team who organised it. It was really such a good event. Amazing support, really good sense of community, of camaraderie with all the other runners, with the volunteers, and everything was catered for. Everything that you needed was there. You felt really, really well looked after. The memento that we got was probably the coolest memento that I've ever got on a race too. So all of us got a little personalised box, and in it you got your DNF coin if you didn't come first. So yeah, technically everyone in a Backyard Ultra is a DNF apart from the person who has carried on to the end. So we all got our own little coin. And then in your box, you've also got all of the yard tokens that you picked up on the way round as you were doing the event. So yeah, really nice little memento. And the good news is that the Longbridge Backyard Ultra is now going to be continuing. So this was the first event, and the next one is going to be taking place in the summer. So if you do fancy giving a Backyard Ultra a go, then This one is going to be coming up in June. I'll put all the details below, and yeah, it's an event I'd really recommend signing up for. So the other thing about this event was that it had a really strong environment and sustainability focus. They had an electric bus that was picking people up from the station. There was recycling for everything. And they also worked with a lot of local businesses. And actually this idea of green running has been a bit of a theme for Carla and I recently, because the week before this event we were up at the running show in Birmingham at the NEC, and Carla was doing a drawing, some illustrations for green runners. So people were coming around the exhibition, they were writing down some ideas for making running greener, and then Carla was incorporating them into her artwork. So I'll leave you with some images of what Carla drew up at the NEC. Thank you for watching everyone, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.